Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. It's a wrap for the 2025 preseason. Shout out to my New York Giants, man. 3-0 in the preseason, and guess what? It means absolutely nothing. But you know what does mean something? Scoring over 30 points a game in the preseason when you are the New York Giants. Now, everybody didn't look the best. That's fine. It's the preseason. But everybody had their moments. All the quarterbacks had their moments. Running backs did pretty well. We saw Cam Scatterable for the first time. We're going to get into the notes for the game. There's some things that I definitely want to touch on, pause, when it comes to this game. But I just want to talk about the preseason in a nutshell first, right? Had the New York Giants lost every preseason game, you would feel a certain way. And even though we know that these games really don't mean nothing because it's the preseason, you can't tell a New York Giant fan to think that way. Why? Because we've seen some things that we have not seen in the preseason before. Again, scoring as many points as the Giants did, the defense being able to shut people down at the same time. Normally, once the starters leave a game, the rest of the team collapses. Look what happened in just, what was it, the Commanders versus the Bengals game. The first part of that game, it was all Commanders for the most part. And then once the second stringers came in, you look at the scores, lopsided for the Bengals. When you look at the New York Giants play this preseason, we didn't skip a beat no matter which group was in there. And that's something that you can take back. Now, Jackson Dart. Oh, Jackson Dart. Shout out to Jackson Dart. A very, very, very good preseason for Jackson Dart. But we saw something tonight that nobody liked. We saw something that he's known to do in college, and we saw something that we don't want him to do unless it absolutely is a necessity. We saw him try to run people over. And yes, that might have worked at Ole Miss in the SEC, but this is the NFL. Slide. Did you see the way that Brian Dable looked at Jackson Dart? He made sure they had both hands on him, right? He looked at him. He made sure it was eye contact. And when there was eye contact, he told him simply, slide. Jackson Dart, damn it, slide. Slide. Your mama was in the crowd. They interviewed your mama. Your mama said, what is he doing? He needs to slide. Pop said he needs to slide. Jackson Dart, do us all a favor. Obviously, the fumble didn't count because there was a holding penalty on the defense, and we were able to get the ball back. Then you ended up hitting your head, and then they took you into the tent so you can check for a concussion. All of that could have been avoided. I remember real time. I'm seeing you take off. You got the scramble. I'm like, okay, 5 yards, 10 yards, 15, slide. And it looked like you thought about, in all honesty, it looked like you thought about sliding. You said, you know what? It's almost like the adrenaline took over you. And you said, I'm going to drop my shoulder. I need you to stop listening to that voice in your head. Especially when it's the preseason. There was no reason. I would have loved to see you slide. I think you learned a lesson today because you seemed to be pissed off too because they wouldn't put you back in the game. And that was a punishment. I don't care what anybody says. That was a punishment. They said, you got to be smarter than that. You on the sideline kicking trash cans and Gatorade tubs and stuff like that because you were upset. Hopefully you were upset with yourself. Outside of that, young man, fantastic showing, fantastic debut for the New York Giants. Now go ahead and hold that clipboard. Hold that clipboard until Brian Dable taps you on the shoulder and says, kid, get in there. Now, I saw Abdul Carter playing today too. There was no need for Abdul Carter to be playing today, but I know why they did it. And it's a funny reason why they did it. Abdul Carter put out a tweet a couple weeks ago saying, I'm not getting a haircut until I get a sack. He thought he was going to get a sack today. That man he wants a haircut so bad. And if you know, he's from Philly, and you know sometimes those guys from Philly, what it looks like when they don't get a haircut in a while, and they got the stubble on the side of the cheeks and stuff. It looks crazy. He's trying to get cleaned up before the game, but guess what? You didn't get a sack, so you won't be getting a haircut until week 1 or after week 1 against the Commanders, because I believe you might get a couple against Jaden Daniels. Outside of that, man, we saw a touchdown from Jalen Hyatt, but we also saw 2 drops from Jalen Hyatt. I was in the spaces at the same time, and they're ready to throw Hyatt out with the trash. They were talking crazy about Hyatt, but guess what? It was well-deserved because he had 2 drops. Now, that first pass, it hit him on the shoulder. He was falling down. I kind of let that one slide. That second one down the sideline, though, when he tried to do the little push for the separation, you got to catch that, brother. I was so happy when Jameis Winston got in there and just threw you the touchdown pass and you got it. You needed that. I needed it. A lot of people needed it. Some people didn't even care about it because they're already over you. But I'll say this. Jalen Hyatt really needed that. And hopefully he can take that and build off of that, even though it was something very, very small. Hopefully he can build off of that, and shout out to Jameis Winston for that. Now, Tommy DeVito, man. I think it's safe to say that we've seen not the last of Tommy DeVito, but we've seen the last of Tommy DeVito in the New York Giants uniform as far as the part of the active roster. I do believe that he makes it through waivers and we're able to put him on the practice squad. I don't believe that Tommy DeVito is really going to go somewhere else. I think he likes where he is. He likes the chemistry that's here. And also, he has to be looking towards the future. Right now, next year, the only quarterbacks on the roster are going to be Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart. That's if we don't do anything stupid like trade Jameis Winston before, we need to or have to or we shouldn't have to anyway. But guess who's going to come back next year as one of the quarterbacks that are going to be here in the summer for 2026? It's going to be Tommy DeVito. He's going to be right back in training camp with the New York Giants in 2026, and who knows, maybe next year he can possibly be that third quarterback on the roster when it's Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, and then Tommy DeVito. Good performance by Tommy DeVito. He looked sharp, used the tight ends. That's exactly what we've been waiting for. And the funny thing is, who's calling the plays? Mike Kafka. And the funny thing is, in 2022, when he was calling the plays, who was involved? The tight ends. And who's Greg Dulcich? Thomas Fedoni. It's going to be hard to cut Dulcich. I have us keeping 4 tight ends, so I have Dulcich making the roster. And I see it in a lot of people. Dan Duggan just did his 53-man prediction, and he has Chris Manhertz. I think he had Daniel Bellinger, but then he also had Theo Johnson and Thomas Fedoni. He had, and I'm sitting here like, I understand why people love Manhertz so much, but this offensive line is so much better. Do you really need Manhertz? Now we talk about the money when it comes to Daniel Bellinger. Maybe they ask him for a pay cut and then he takes it. Maybe that happens and then he can avoid being cut or waived. We'll see what happens with that. If he wants to play fair with the New York Giants, then he can go ahead and do that. I think he should if they're asking him to give up some money. Obviously, it's unfortunate because as a player, you want to get the money that you earn, that you signed for. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that when it comes to professional football. Now, I did mention the offensive line. I want to say this. Evan Neal, there was some good, there was some bad, and there definitely was some ugly. I still think he makes the 53 by default. He has not shown enough yet. Definitely didn't have enough to beat out Greg Van Roten, and I think that's understood with everybody. But Marcus Bowe today started at left tackle, and I think it's safe to say, especially for me, I think it's safe to say, if Andrew Thomas cannot play week 1, I don't care how much money we paid James Hudson, Marcus Bowe should be the left tackle going into the season. I feel that comfortable with Marcus Bowe. The feat that people have been talking about when a lot of people wanted to kick him inside because they felt like his arms weren't long enough. And I said, you do not waste feet like that in the inside. He is a tackle. And 100% he's absolutely a tackle. Now, if you want to put him in as guard, in the pinch because you need it, that's fine. That's fine. But you should not be thinking to permanently put Marcus Bowe on the inside. Not at center, not at guard. No, that man is a tackle, and we're lucky to have him. And here's the other thing. We got major fears when it comes to Andrew Thomas. Yes, he made it off a pup. Yes, he might be ready for week 1. But he scares us every season. The injuries are too frequent. Now I'm not as nervous about it. I'm not as anxious about it because I'm looking at Marcus Bowe like, okay, yeah, he's a swing tackle. You can plug him in at left tackle, and you know what that means? And that means if Andrew Thomas is not ready, or if Andrew Thomas goes back down, you're not shuffling the whole offensive line. Last year we had to move Illuminor to the left side, and guards got to change this, that, and another. No, it's going to be seamless this year if it happens, and hopefully it doesn't happen. You just say, Marcus Bowe, you're playing left tackle till Andrew Thomas is ready, and it is what it is. So I feel good about this preseason. We got a lot of good reps. They got a lot of good experience in this preseason, even though it means nothing. As a New York Giants fan, I saw a lot. After that first drive, too, man, I went straight to Twitter, and it didn't fail because I knew exactly what was going to happen. As soon as that touchdown pass got thrown from Jackson Dart, I went straight to Twitter, and I saw, well, Jackson Dart should start. And then what happens the next drive? He showed some of his inexperience by not sliding and fumbling. Not really a fumble, but it was a fumble. And those are the lessons that he still needs to learn. As much temptation that you have in yourself saying, yeah, I'm going to run this guy over. Remember, we need you to survive. We need you to survive for the next play. Now, if it's third down and you need to get the first down and you have to drop your shoulder, that's one thing. That's not first down. If it's 4th and 1 and you need drop the shoulder by any means when it matters like that. But when you already got the first down and you're talking about the first quarter, and there's nobody in front of you, and then you're looking at this guy for a good 5 yards. You're running for a good 5 yards, knew the impact was coming, and you did not slide. I posted a tweet. The language was not nice, but it was received well by other Giants fans. And it was simple. The tweet just said, effing slide. Effing slide. But other than that, man, we got the 53-man cut down coming. Pause. Curious to see how that thing shakes out. Pause again. Because as soon as they drop that 53, I'm doing a reaction video. I'm going down off of my list that I have versus what the New York Giants actually did, who they kept. And I want to see how close I was to getting, because, there's always going to be something that's different. I'm not that nice. I'm not that nice when it comes to predicting, the 53. I think I'm good enough to get about 90% of the people, but it's always going to be some differences. We'll see what happens, especially when it comes to the wide receiver room. Bo Collins, man. People been fighting for you, Bo Collins. A lot of people been fighting for you, Bo Collins. We're still seeing some miscommunications, and that happens. You're a UDFA rookie. That happens, but if you want to get on the 53, if you want to contribute in games, we got to be able to trust that you'll be in the spot that you need to be in. But other than that, fantastic showing for him. I do think he makes the 53 as that wide receiver 6 or the last wide receiver spot. The next battle is this, though. There's a couple of battles. One battle, I think Flott won the battle. Flott made some plays today, fantastic. Deonte Banks didn't even play, so that means, what does that mean? That means that they have already made their decision. They're probably going to go with Tay Banks first. I'm not happy with that, but again, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I'm curious to see what happens, man. The wide receiver battle, the cornerback battle. Who's going to be that fourth cornerback? Actually, not the fourth. Who's going to be that fifth cornerback and that sixth quarterback? Artie Green had a nice showing today. Sure tackling, good in coverage. Even Donald Fortune had a couple good plays in a row as well, man. I think it's going to be a long shot for him, but I think that's somebody that we could sneak onto the practice squad. But at the end of the day, this is the first time in a long time for the New York Giants where you're going to be cutting some really good players, or players that we think could, be contributors or turn into something. And I'm hoping that they make it to the practice squad. We are third in the waiver wire. That means a lot. I think if we were a little bit higher in the waiver wire, we might not see too many movements after the 53-man cut down. But they had an over-under going on in the spaces today. They said over-under three roster spots change after we cut down to 53. And I can see 2 to maybe 3 changes possibly. Depends on who shakes loose from one of these other teams. I think they're still looking at defensive tackles. They're definitely looking at cornerbacks. They might be looking at linebacker. Other than that, I just think those are the main positions that they might be looking at right now. But other than that, if there's a big name that shakes loose, cap casualty, something like that, the New York Giants are third on the waiver wire and have a good chance of landing whoever that person, might be. But other than that, Giants family, how do you feel? 2 more weeks to the games count. I can't wait. I feel really good about this season, and hopefully you guys feel good about it too. But at the end of the day, I'm going to wrap this thing up because it's already tomorrow for the people on the East Coast. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And for one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.